Hello and welcome to Studio A here at 103 The Eye, community radio station for Melton Mowbray and the Vale of Belvoir. My name is Andy Clues. I present the Saturday night show from 9 till 11, which we're just about to make. But before we do, I'm just going to give you a quick tour of this little studio. Now, it's a tiny little studio, as you can see. Just 3 screens, a desk and 2 microphones. But it just runs beautifully. It's just such a smart little studio that can be, it's incredibly versatile. I'll start with the actual playout system. Now what we use is a piece of kit called OTS AV. Now it's not the cheapest playout system, but it's not the most expensive either. But what it is, it's perfect for what we need at 103 The Eye. It's not incredibly complex, but some of the features on it are, it's so feature rich, it's unbelievable. I mean, I've been using this piece of software for 14, 15 years now, and it never ceases to amaze me. It's just, it's sort of the lazy man's playout. You can throw anything you want at OTS and it will just make anything, make any odd rubbish sound good. It's probably why my show sounds alright. So yeah, that's OTS. I'll just show you it in action. So as you can see, this is let's turn the monitors on. This is fed to playout, which is there on the desk. Now it's worth pointing out that playout is split. Now what do I mean by that? The actual playout machine, the output from the playout machine is split and sent to 2 desks. Why, you ask? Because it feeds to this desk in turn feeds to this desk, and appears on channel 2, turn that down, but also on channel 1 is the playout again. Reason for that, of a night time when we don't need to have this desk on, or we wish to make another program, a pre-recorded show or whatever, without interrupting the output from the playout machine, we just flick over to playout, and then that means we can then switch that desk off to be all carbon neutral and all that. That means that doesn't need to be running when the show, which is on air, has no live presenter input, and obviously for that we can then use to do whatever, make voice tracks or whatever we need to do during the night or during the day or whatever, which means we don't need this desk to actually go to air. We can then put that desk to air and use this one for whatever we want to use it for. And all you need to do when you get here and you then want to put this desk on air is make sure the playout system is playing out, of course. Make sure playout is faded up on the main desk, and then just feed back across. And now that desk's going to air. Simple as that. Also, of course, like any good studio, whenever you put the microphone live, it cuts the monitors off. I'm not actually going to air at the minute because that people would be hearing me saying this now, wouldn't they? So let's shut that up. As I say, as soon as you turn the mic off, then puts the monitors back on. Now these are beautiful, beautiful monitors. They are just exceptional. Every last note you can hear. They're called Behringer Truth B2031A active speakers, and they are just amazing. They're really, really, really nice. Especially sort of dancey tracks, a lot of bass, really rich treble, awesome speakers, love them. And of course they don't come on when the mic's live. Anyway, I'm sure you're asking now, what are these 2 monitors here? Now these 2 monitors are the same machine, exactly the same computer, but what you can do is they've got a split graphics card, which ultimately means you can interchange the monitors, so you can have whatever you want on each monitor. Personally, what I like to do is have the news websites, Sky Sports, Sky News, BBC News, Digital Spy, whatever, on this machine, or the email. Obviously you check the emails while you're on air, on this main machine, so you can obviously talk into the mic whilst looking right at the screen and reading off the screen. And if this screen over here is running the BBC News channel. But obviously you can have whatever you want. I mean, you can, so let's minimize that. Let's drag that to that screen over the top of the BBC News channel. Let's minimize the BBC News channel and put that on that screen, and obviously just put that full screen on there and put that full screen on there. So as I say, you can versatile, and also this machine here can record the PFL output off the mixer. Now, if you're not familiar with what I mean by that, what I can do is put the mic on PFL. You can record voice tracks to this machine without interrupting the output of the station. So I can be using the mixer to make voice tracks while Playout is playing a song or an item or whatever onto this machine, and then through the network you can then transfer it to the Playout machine and broadcast your links. Now, beauty of that is you can effectively make a pre-recorded show in real time, if that makes sense. You can pre-record your links. You don't need to go live at all. If you don't feel comfortable going live, you can just make all the links on this machine over here. Machines, if you know what I mean. And take it off PFL, of course, send it back to this machine across the network and vice versa. Now, something else which I've seen at other stations that use OTS-AV, and why they don't use this feature, it amazes me, because it's absolutely perfect. You'll notice here it says air and Q, right? It's got air and Q. Okay. So now we'll play that. We'll play a different track. Bit of Chris Brown, maybe. There you go. There we go. So that's now going to air. Okay. If I then click Q and click off air, or I'll show you a better example. So that's now going to air. Let's put a bit of Snoop Dogg on player 2, but put it on Q, not air. Those two tracks are now playing simultaneously off the one machine, but one's going, let's go to two completely different sound cards. So we put Q channel on, that's playing on Q, and that is playing on air. Q, oh no, wrong one. Q, air. So that means you can queue a track up and listen to it before it's even broadcast, if that makes sense. So, incredibly versatile. And something else I should point out as well is this monitor here, this keyboard, this mouse, and that cool mouse mount. That's what we used to be called, by the way, back in the day, under the trial broadcasts. Retro that. What you can do, this machine, there's two machines, identical machines under the desk. So if this machine fails, for whatever reason, this incredibly important machine, i.e. our Playout machine, the machine which is on air 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if that fails, or if we need to do some maintenance to it or whatever, all we do on the desk is press Control 2. And as if by magic, a new machine then appears. That's the backup machine. It's identical to the other one. The Playout, the database is exactly the same. But that then means we can switch the main Playout machine off, which is on KVM1. We can then switch that off and run off KVM2. And obviously it shares a mouse and a keyboard and all that. Over here, I'm not going to go into too much detail of what's in the rack, because there's a lot in the rack. And it's all stuff which is, they say set and forget, which means you just set it up to do what it needs to do and then just leave it and never have to really touch it again. The top bit of kit is a headphone distribution amp, which is, well, pretty much what it says on the tin. It feeds how many outputs? Is that 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I think 10. Yeah, 10, either 8 or 10 independent volume controls for however many headphones you need. We very rarely need more than 2 sets of headphones, because obviously the studio is so small. We can't really get more than 2 or 3 people in here. Underneath that is a very, very nice bit of kit, and what that is a microphone amplifier, which ultimately means that mic there, the sound you input into it is different than what goes to air. You might, I don't know, you suppose you call it like an auto-tune box. It makes your voice sound clearer. It gets rid of the pops and the crackles and the whistles. And if you don't really know much about audio, it's probably going over your head a little bit, but it just sharpens your voice, so it makes it sound better, makes it sound clearer, makes it sound more precise, makes it sound better over the top of the music. Underneath that is the network hub, which means obviously the network is fed into that machine. The network comes from downstairs along a cable up the side of the building into here. It's then fed to there, which means you can then feed the, how many machines we got? Currently 5 machines running simultaneously. So obviously all the machines are then fed off that network switch. Underneath that is a main output distribution amp. Now again, it's pretty much as it sounds. You feed the second mixer, i.e. the master mixer or whatever you want to call it, is fed to that distribution amp, which can then output it. Oh Christ, how many is that? Oh, there's about 15 outputs. There's literally only really 2 or 3 in use. One is fed to the recorder machine, one is fed to the streaming machine, one is fed to a hi-fi in the other room, which obviously is the main output of the station, and it basically just means you can have as many outputs as you want. And if we were using a transmitter at this studio, you could obviously then feed off there directly to a transmitter, but because we don't have a license in this neck of the woods, we never use that, of course. So there we go. That's it. That's my boring little tour of Studio A here at 103The Eye. Built about a year ago now, and it's just a brilliant little studio. It's versatile. You can do pretty much everything you want. I suppose I should quickly show you. The blue one is the Sky News studio in London, which is fed into this little satellite box here. Now, we shouldn't really have this on the main desk, but we have it there simply because it's not really hurting anything. There's no real buttons on the front that can get knocked or anything, so we put it there instead of having it in the rack over there, and it just means that it's just closer to everything it needs to be connected to. Now, without getting even more technical, this box here, this satellite receiver, which, as I say, receives the Sky News feed. See it be saying that to you now. Which obviously we take at the top of the hour, pretty much every hour throughout the day and night. The 2-minute long news bulletin, that is. That is then split. So the output from there is split. One goes to the mixer, which means during live output, you fade up the news at exactly the top of the hour. But also, when we're just coming off the playout machine, you will see it's fed to the playout machine as well. Now you'll just get a horrible noise off this. Oh no, hang on, we're on the actual wrong playout machine, we're on the backup machine still. Let's go back over to playout 1, KVM 1, whatever you want to call it. And if you put live input on, you'll then hear the live input, i.e. the Sky News feed, come through there. You'll hear a horrible noise until the feed comes on at the top of the hour, because OTS AV has got a built-in compressor limiter AGC, which you can see there. And again, without getting too technical, it basically brings the level up to a constant level, which means now there's nothing but you can hear that horrible hissing noise in the background. That's the AGC bringing the level up sky high, so it's at a continual level with everything else. Are you still with me? It doesn't really matter if you're not, but if you know what I'm talking about, well, there's a bit of nerdy information for you there. And you'll see by the what I mean by the AGC, because if I play a track now, that will go mental. That will just fall to the floor. I'll show you. As I say, the level's been risen so high, to then balance it back out, it will then rock it. Look at that little needle there. Watch that drop as I play this track. See, so it's a continual level all the way through. There's just one set level. So I know you probably, well, why do you need that? Simple reason why you need that is because all the levels at any decent radio station output need to be a constant level. So if you're in the car or whatever, you're not continually turning your radio up and down for quiet and loud bits of the show. So there's still a lot of dynamic range, but it will increase and decrease accordingly. So you've got a continual level. So you're not having to turn your radio up and down. I think that's pretty much it. I think we've covered everything. So that's it. That's Studio A here at 103The Eye.